See, there it is. I said I wasn't gonna do it. Yeah. I do love plants, but I love Earl's face more. So
that's a big compliment too.
Because I'm a plant lady. Yeah. It's right. So, I know. I love your face more than plants, Earl. Hi, welcome to All Things Creative, ATC, if you're like an initial person. I don't know. Yeah. It's confusing. So some people try to add initials. No, it's just ATC. I'm Kacee Pate. I'm so glad that you guys are joining in our conversation today. This is a very special, I feel like I say that every time, but it's always special. Because my friends are always special and they have amazing things to say. Yeah. We have a special campus edition of All Things Creative today. So I have with me the amazing campus director of City Life, Earl Smith. We have Cassie. Yeah. We have Josh. They are joining us today. And Cassie and Josh are interns and they're working hard. We're getting ready for the school year. It's about to start. Yes. So go team. All things creative. All things creative. Thunder sticks. Yeah. So they might come for you if you say the wrong thing, with the wrong answer. They're gonna stay right here. So this is my campus get hype, but I never do it right. I miss, but there we go. Okay. That's it. Anyway, well, this episode is gonna be all about going on campus, and of course, this is all things creative. So, but when we think about creativity, sometimes we just think about just your standard kind of in the box thinking about creativity. We think about, drama or art or photography. All those things are, and they are in the realm of what you guys are doing on campus as well. Yeah. But something that I want to talk about today is creativity in our thinking. Mm-hmm. Because part of what we're talking about, the culture we're trying to create is a culture of why not? Right. So we're trying to talk about taking risks. We're trying to talk about really going for it. Mm-hmm. And if we're serious about change the campus, I can't turn you around, but the back of their campus shirts, they change the campus, change the world. And that's what we believe, and that is why we are on campus, because we do believe that the future leaders that will change the world are on the campus today. Exactly. And we're passionate about reaching them. But the conversation we want to have today is the fact that we have to creatively think about how to reach the campus. Yeah. Because they're not necessarily just breaking down the doors to get into the church these days, right? So there's a lot of barriers, there's a lot of obstacles that we're facing to try to get this age group, these campus students, to reach them with the gospel, to reach them with the life-changing good news about Jesus. And we can see, and I know you guys, you can speak to this, every day, I'm sure when you're on that campus, you see brokenness, you see hurting students that are looking for their place. For sure. They're looking for their identity. Yeah. And we have to think outside the box. We have to get creative when it comes to reaching them. And so that's the conversation I want to have today. This is the first time we've had more than one person on the couch, so it's a very special edition. So there's going to be lots of great things that you guys are going to say today. And I'm just going to get right into it. Okay. So this freestyle answer, if nobody answers, I'm going to take the thunder stick at you, point at you, and make you answer. So just be ready. Be ready with your answers. All right, I want to talk about, you guys are on campus, like I said, almost daily, and you're talking to students. And I want you to tell me, what do you think are some of the biggest issues that are facing campus students today? When you're talking to them, when you're getting into their lives, what do you think maybe just are a couple of the really prevalent things that you're seeing when you're talking to campus students?
I think you kind of hit on it earlier with the identity. I mean, especially looking at different campuses, it's going to be different whichever one you look at, but I think overall, just people in general, when they don't know who they are, that's what allows a lot of different things to kind of take root in them as their identity. And on campuses, there are so many different outlets for them to express themselves in so many different ways, that their identity can be put in something that's not Jesus and that's not their true self.
Yeah, it's great.
That's a good answer. That's good.
Yeah. And it's not just coming from them even, right? It's coming from classes they're taking. It's coming maybe from even professors, and there are lots of different thoughts and identities that you can grab onto. It doesn't even just come from your friends or your upbringing, right? I mean, sometimes it's coming from the classroom. Right. And sometimes it's coming from influences of like authority figures, and so it can be very, very confusing. Time in general, we all know that, but that's great. What else are you seeing when you're encountering campus students?
The external noise have gotten so loud in this day and age. I like to call it's the era of truths. So it's this big thing that's
plural.
going truths. And so this is big thing that's kind of going around, and I think one of the things that's happening is that as the spike of social media and things like that are starting to continue to grow, one of the things, it gives the individual a voice to reach the masses at a much bigger capacity and at a much more lightning speed. And so they can actually influence or persuade the person that goes to their particular school or just around the campuses in general. And so you have this thing kind of going around where, oh man, your truth is your truth, my truth is my truth. And it's kind of how the way I feel in the moment. If I do this thing, the truth is that I felt some sort of pleasure from that, which means that truth to me it's a good thing. That means it's a good thing. And the only universal truth that there is on that college campus is that you should be okay with your truth and that I should be okay with my truth. And so if any other absolute truth comes in the picture, well, that absolute truth looks like this. It looks like hate.
That's true. And isn't that funny? Because in some ways, times have changed so much, right? Like, I was just joking with you guys before we were rolling. I was like, what do you even say now? Does anybody still say that's a bop anymore? Because that was like so last week. Like, nobody says that anymore. So, like, in some ways, it feels like everything's changing so rapidly. But the irony is, it really is at the heart of it some of those same issues that are just timeless. Identity is always going to be something that's a huge issue. It just looks different for different, generations, for different, what we're surrounded with, the noise you're talking about, things like social media. And Josh, you were like shaking your head like, I heard a lot of about that. That's right. So what do you think, Josh, in like response to some of these things we're talking about, how do you think that these things are barriers when it comes to trying to get the gospel into these students?
I think the church likes to play so far left from everything that is going on in pop culture that we miss a lot of the marks that we need to hit when it comes to the students, because they're on social media, they're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, they have a lot of things like we already said that are going so fast. And it's hard for us to keep up because we're always disassociated with everything that's going on. But if we were to get in the mix and not necessarily be a part, but to be all things to all people, I think it looks a lot differently when we take that approach and when we look at things from a perspective of I have to reach these people and I have to kind of die to myself and die to my external wants of wanting to be different, but I have to get in the mix somehow. I have to find a way in there. Just like the misrepresentation that has happened over the years from Christians. You have people who are actually killing people in the name of Christianity. You have all of these different things that Christianity was associated with, but they don't have people that were actually representing what Jesus' heart was for people, how to love people well. And love your neighbor is often the most underused scripture that people use because it's always these different things that are thrown out there when it comes to the LGBTQ community, the different religions that you have going on, the people that are so far left and so far lost. You have all of these things that are used as tools of hate. But you miss the scripture of love your neighbor. And what does it look like for us as we're going on the campus? It looks like us going and sitting down with people who are often just kind of like the underdogs of society. And just us being different in that aspect. I think that it takes us to represent Christ to the world in a different way.
Represent. Gosh! Represent! Okay. Come on. I'm gonna make you spit out your water over there. Look out. No, I just especially appreciated that. I think that's so true. And so you guys are kind of touching on it. You're doing fantastic segues, by the way, because I have like my little list, and you just keep like just naturally going into it. So guys,
thumbs up.
thumbs up from you. I am just all about using props today. Got the thunder sticks to my right. We got the sacred thumb of feedback to my left. Whew, we just got all kinds of stuff going on today. But I want to touch on this a little bit more, and I want you guys to be super honest, like no wrong answers. I really want to go there because I think this is very, very important. I want to talk about, how do you think we've missed it as the church, capital C church? I'm not just talking about City Life. Yeah. I'm talking about the church. Where have we failed in engaging this generation, this group of people that are going to change the world, and other voices are pulling in to change the world with their ideas. Yeah. And it seems like sometimes the truth, the good news, the one that we know is the only truth, is not the one cutting through all the noise. And I think part of that is because I think we have missed the mark some. Yeah. I think we have. And so I just want your honest answer of, maybe in your own personal experience, of your testimony, or however you want to answer this question. How has the church missed it when it comes to engaging campus students specifically?
I think I'll just tell a quick story. A couple of weeks ago, I was with our great Heather Mattingly, and we went to Bank of America to, there was some things with accounts and stuff like that. And the person that was helping us out, she began to ask me what I did and what this was all for. And so I'm telling her about our heart for the next generation, our heart for the college campuses. And immediately, and I think her mindset is a representation of the church as a whole today. And she said, "Oh, that wicked and generation," and basically what the tone that came from her mouth was one of hopelessness. And the tone, another aspect that came just flew out of her mouth, like, oh, they're too far off for God to, number one, even save them, or for God to even use them to bring His glory into the kingdom. Yeah. And so it was almost like a separation, as if she forgot that she was that she was that generation before. And that someone in the later generation than her said that very thing about her. And so you see this kind of cycle of this things that are happening because of the external noise, because of we have way more access to be able to see things. And so I think our church, the church as a body, can either go one extreme or the other extreme. We can never find like that balance. And first, you just see a lot of people that just really feel like it's a lost cause. And this is a lot of the millennials feel this way, because you hear even in the jokes, oh, they're just millennials, and there's an undertone of lost cause kind of deal. Yeah. And so if you already have, and you already have that mindset, you'll never get up and be on mission. You'll never get up and actually use what you feel like God gave you to actually encounter the next generation, or encounter some of these college students.
Kind of, aren't we all like that? Yeah. Isn't that all of us? And so there's nothing that makes us special or better. Unfortunately, though, I think we probably have all had an experience in church that we've been hurt, or just felt not welcome, or felt loved. And so do y'all have any personal experience of that, or somebody that that has had an experience like that in the church?
And this is crazy. I try not to be so judgmental of the church.
Yeah.
Just because I've seen so many flaws, and even in my upbringing, I've noticed things that even churches I was a part of. Yeah. Like, I was a member, and I was like, why was I even a part of this church? But then, I saw recently Jackie Hill Perry post about
love her. Yeah, love her. She's so good.
She posted something about how she's, even though she believes this one thing about the faith, she does not separate herself from all the other Methodist or whatever all the denominations. She doesn't separate herself. All that she may disagree. I just believe that inside the church there's so much division, and we like to think that we're capital C church. Sure. But when we're going out, we hate each other sometimes. Yeah. We judge each other, and so it's hard for us to move as one body, because we don't have that same mindset of, I might not agree with this person's beliefs or stance. Yeah. Stances don't own anything, but if you claim Jesus Christ and you love Him with your whole heart, what is stopping me from doing ministry with you? What is stopping me from moving towards one goal and getting this world and seeing this world turned over for Christ? What is stopping me from believing that and holding to that being true?
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I think I might have seen the same post that you saw. And I think she referred to it as tribalism, which is like, ooh, that sounds like a big kind of scary, intimidating word. Yeah. But it's in the sense that she used it, it's true, of we kind of break ourselves off into tribes. Yeah. And within the church, we are divided and we let that separate us into, segments and things like that. So I think you're absolutely right. I don't blame people in some sense when they look at us from the outside and go, well, y'all need to get along. Like, you don't even like each other. Yeah. Like you're fighting over things that don't matter. And so like, why would I want to be a part of that community? Like I get it.
People that are like dying.
Yeah.
Are if you want to be honest, they're going to hell.
Yes.
And we're not. We don't like what you said is just like we're fighting over stuff that doesn't matter. Yeah. There are literally people over in different countries that are dying. In this even country, like right across the street, somebody's dying.
Sure.
And we don't it's just hard. It's like Earl said, it's just a tango, like really like what do you do?
Yeah.
I think this generation also has this mindset of treat other people how like you yourself want to be treated, not how they should be treated. And so I think it creates this almost spirit of reciprocity where if I'm feeling judged or if I'm feeling like the church feels apathy towards me, then I'm going to display those same things back to the church. And that's what you see a lot on campuses. Even we had our event where we were meeting freshmen and meeting new students and stuff last week. This one girl, I felt so bad. Dusty starts talking to her because she had come up and asked like what we are, like or what we do.
What is this?
What is this?
And so Dusty started explaining. We are a church-based campus ministry, and this girl was like, oh, never mind. And she literally walked off, and Dusty was like, but that's a response you get a lot on campus because there are a lot of church hurt people, and honestly, like I got that same response over and over again as we were doing this event, just because in the students' perspective and in society's perspective, there is a lot of apathy towards them. And so they are going to reflect that same apathy back just because that's what they were taught or, that's how they feel that should be handled. But I think something the church really could do is just create a safe space for people to talk about things because I think that's something that's not really done as well today. I mean, it's really hard for people to come up and to be vulnerable about things, but especially coming into a place where it's known to be judged and it's known to be apathetic. That's so much harder. I have talked to so many girls in this past few weeks who are struggling with same-sex attractions, and that's something that's really hard to bring up in a church setting. But it's something that needs to be talked about and needs to be addressed. And I think just a church being able to have a space to talk about those things and not push them away and not repress them because the repression is what leads to more apathy. And it's great. A cycle.
It's great.
Shameless plug. Come to EMC Packs.
Come on.
We are a safe space.
You get in that pack and you have a safe space.
Come to City Life Church.
Well, if you're just going to say it, you can say it. Just come on to City Life Church. Every Sunday we have 3 services, 3 opportunities. That's all the plug I'm going to do about that. But no, I am proud of the fact that I do feel like that's what we're trying to do. Again, the church is full of imperfect people. We're imperfect people trying to bring a perfect gospel to the world. So we're not going to get it right. We're not going to love right every time. We're not going to have the right answer every time. But I think that's so great what you said, Kacee. If we can create at least the space for it, you can come and talk about hard things here. That's okay. We're going to let you be. And so I want to lean into that a little bit because I'm hearing you guys talk about real life things that you face on campus when you get the peace out, see you later to church and to Jesus, really. Yet we have such an urgency. like Josh said, people are going to hell. Like, this is not, we're not playing around.
Yeah.
We're not trying to pick out the color of the carpet of the church and have fights about that. Like, people are dying and they're going to hell, and these are people that God loves and He created in His own image. And so what do you do with that? Like, how do you lean into the objections? How do you, when you face the people that are like, sorry, not interested, what like do you do personally, or just as you guys as a ministry, to lean into those hard things? And then how are you thinking outside the box? Because I just heard a lot of what you guys are encountering, and that's just what we see in the church in general, right? They're not even coming to the door, first of all. So we got to go out there and get them.
Right.
And it's not going to work. Like you said, unfortunately, there are just ideas, there are perceptions about what the church is that will keep people from ever walking in the door. So we cannot expect them to just come to us. We have to go to them. Right. And we have to be creative in going to them. We have to be able to take risks. We have to just be able to say, this might be a little outside the box, but it's worth it because these are souls for whom Christ died, right? So how are we thinking outside the box for our ENC, our campus ministry, and how are you guys leaning into some of those objections that you're getting?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that we've kind of changed, so we used to do this thing called Real Talk.
Yeah.
And it was almost kind of ran like a rap session, but it's an opportunity for everybody to come together and talk about these hard discussions, these hot topic issues. And what we've done is we've created that and kind of chopped it up and made multiple of those. So they call them packs, basically. And so that's what we do on campus now, is that we have around 10 packs from Rice University, TSU, and
Rice University.
University.
We're on Rice. We're on Rice.
Come
I'm
on.
so excited.
Come on.
Anyway.
At TSU and U of H. And honestly, one of the things that allows, we tailored it so that it's not a country club. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a bunch of Christians that are coming together and, let's just go come together. That's great and that's amazing. But what we've done is we've tailored it to having being open for people to come in and just voice how they feel, voice their opinions on a whole bunch of different things. At the same time, you don't know it, but at the same time, we're reading the word, because what it is
are you casting a net?
Yeah, come on.
Are you fishing?
Yeah. Take it. And so one of the things that we do is like our description of the packs is we're discussing these issues, but we're going to see if there's even a God. Yeah. But we're going to discuss what's His heart behind these specific issues. And so what that does is it's both inviting to the Christian folk, but people, and we've seen it, atheists, whoever wants to come in, they're coming in, they're able to hear it. And because we've already created that window of openness with them and vulnerability, they're already coming in vulnerable. And if you hear them, they're able to say whatever they feel. We've had some very crazy experiences where people will say just outlandish things about God. And one of the things is we're just graceful and loving. Oh man, that's a great thought. That's a great thought. And then all of a sudden what that does is that lets down that whole barrier. That lets down that whole
down the wall.
And then they're like, okay, these are different.
Yeah.
Y'all
are they surprised? Are they surprised when you respond like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very surprised. They're like, there's something different, because they put all Christians in the bubble. Right. And so the moment they see someone that claims to be a Christian on a podium on CNN or something like that, and he claims or she claims to be a Christian, and yet they see the opposite of what they feel like that word speaks, then all of a sudden, if you're like that, then all the other millions of Christians are just like you. So when they hear our response, or even in their own experience, they've been shut down, they've been told to shut up sometimes, they've been just engaging in a bunch of arguments sometimes, and that's not what Jesus wants to do. Like, He doesn't want to argue with anyone. He doesn't have to argue with anyone. And so whenever they come in and they see that, they're like, oh man, okay, well, let's just see what God has to say about any of these things.
Maybe we can talk about it.
Let's see what God, and then once their perception, because most of those people don't read the Bible. You find very few people that have actually read the Bible that feel those type of way.
Yeah.
You find I don't think there's a lot of atheists out there either that read the Bible.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we go through things like we're going through a Papa's Heart series, God's heart for specific, hot topic issues and things like that. And what that does is it allows people to come in, get heard, and hear about God. And I think far as like what I do love to do personally, just very quickly, is I love repenting to those people.
I think one way to think outside the box and also to kind of break past that barrier of apathy and initial like rejection is power evangelism.
Okay.
It's basically when you go out in teams of twos and one person is, if you're doing we use God tests. So if you're doing a God test, one person will administer the God test, will ask the questions, and the other person is hearing from the Holy Spirit the entire time. They are praying for this person.
Do tell.
They're asking God to speak to them about this person, and so you're having this kind of duality where on one hand you are having this intellectual, logic-based conversation with someone, and then on the other side you're asking God to speak into that person's life in a way that will not make any sense at all.
Right.
You're asking God to both challenge their mind and their heart and to break past those barriers. And that's one way you can think outside the box, and that these students they're expecting, especially on very like liberal campuses, they're expecting to be challenged logically. They're expecting those things, but they're not.
Right.
They're not expecting the truth of the gospel.
They're not expecting somebody to come in and read your mail, right?
Exactly, and that's really surprising. And you see people's defenses immediately come down once you start speaking God's truth to them about themselves, about things that they've never told anyone. Wow. And it's a really powerful tool to use.
Like a 1-2 punch, right?
It's very disarming, and I speak personally too. I mean, like when people have done it to me, but it's a really, really great tool to use and to be in unity with the Holy Spirit and doing that as well. So
That's great.
And you can be activated in all those things. I think that's one of the biggest things about why the church doesn't want to go out and reach those, is because maybe they just feel like they don't have the ability to. Yeah. But it's very clear in the Word that God says, when my Spirit comes upon you, you'll be an effective witness. Yeah. And so you'll be an effective witness, meaning you can go wherever it is that you are. Ours is on the campus. And because God's Spirit is on you, living in you, you can actually effectively minister in a way that breaks down, like what she was saying, hearing from God. Yeah. You know, what is God's heart for this particular person? Yeah. But then that goes all back to where we fell in the first place. Yeah. Because maybe some of our church don't want to know what God's heart is for that person, or we already feel like what God's heart for that person.
You don't want to be bold and step out, because that requires risk on your part.
Right.
Yeah. Right? You got to step out there and be bold and do it.
Yeah. And you got to be willing to look like a fool.
Yeah.
But what did Jesus do?
What did he do?
On the cross, he looked like a fool.
We're not just talking about the bracelet, right? We're not just talking about the bracelet. Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you guys saying is when you're actually being the hands and feet of the gospel, the true, authentic gospel that says, I see you. God sees you. God hears you. God knows you intimately, and he loves you. That is catching people off guard because they're not expecting that. They're not expecting to say something controversial and you go, that's a really good thought. Like, let's talk about that. Yeah. Like, tell me what you think. They're not expecting to hear the Holy Spirit speak to them about something that nobody else would know. Yeah. And so it sounds a lot like Jesus to me, but it's not what people expect, unfortunately, because of the ideas that exist out there, you know, that are kind of floating around. So,
and I think it goes back to the idea of like reciprocity as well. Like, if we're not encountering agnostics or atheists or even nominal believers or just any kind of unbeliever, if we're not going up to them and treating them as stereotypes of what they're supposed to be, then that will make it easier for them to not treat us that way as well. Yeah.
I am so excited about what's to come. I feel like I should make a disclaimer. The reason I got so excited about rice is because that's new for us. It's a new campus we're on this fall that we did not expect. That God just did. I mean, we've been praying and asking, but God just did that, and we were all like, wow, God, okay. And so, but I need to make that disclaimer because I'm equally as excited about TSU and about U of H. Like, we love all of our campuses, and God is moving and doing great things. So, one of the last things I want to do is all of my friends that come on the show, I like to give them all a mug about something that I think, that reminds me of them, or maybe a relationship or something I want to like say over them. And honestly, guys, I had a hard time with this one because I was like, where I gotta find my like the world changer. I'll find a mug with like a globe on it. I'll find something, and I kid you not, I was I bought some of these white mugs, and I was just staring at the white mug, and I feel like I need to use one for a prop, or I'm gonna borrow your coffee water. I was, because we all know it's not real. I wish it was. I could use some extra coffee today, but busted the bubble, sorry. But I was literally staring at this blank white mug, and I kid you not, I felt like the Lord spoke to me and said, this is the mug that they're going to have because you are writing this story.
Oh, wow.
This semester, this school year is a blank canvas for you. Wow. And God has a story for you to write and a story for you to tell. And so I was like, well, that's kind of cheesy. We're going to go with it. And so I actually want to give you guys blank white mugs because I want you to think about that and think about all the potential, all the possibility, the blank canvas that God has given you, paintbrushes, pens, pencils, to write stories, to create something beautiful that God is doing on campus. This fall and beyond, we are so excited about what's coming this year, guys. Is anybody ready? I don't know if they're ready though. Like, you might be ready, but are they ready? Like, are they even ready?
They have to be ready.
Are they ready for what's coming? Because I don't feel like we're ready. Because man, this is very, very, very exciting times, and I'm so glad you guys are a part of it. So excited and pumped that we have interns that get to go on campus, and amazing campus director. As we close, I would like to hear from each one of you, and it's going to be hard, I know, to narrow it down. Just maybe one. What are you the most excited about this school year? What really is getting you excited?
I'm excited for these men to be coming into ENC because we not to say anything about the girls.
It's okay. I understand. I know what you're saying.
Cassie, Jazz, Sierra, all of them.
We love them all.
But it's something about having men in the organization to step up and start leading in the way that the Holy Spirit has designed and God has designed them to lead. And ridding that stereotype of Adam and us being so passive and really taking charge of everything that is coming up. And so I'm just blessed to see the women co-facilitate things with the men and be cohesive in our approach to things and go out 2 by 2 with these people and not just feel like it's based on sex and gender and stuff like that. We can really go out and reach people. So I'm really excited about that.
That's great. You better preach another sermon over there because we're talking about men and women partnering, co-laboring, working together. Come on, somebody. We're not enemies. We are not adversaries. We are working together. We are co-laborers, and there is something so powerful when men step up. And again, I am a woman, so I can say that, and I do love and appreciate all of the amazing powerhouse women that we. And you are. She's about to blow y'all catch the energy that I'm feeling and the power. You can barely even sit on the couch with her right now. But there is something so powerful about men stepping up, owning their identity, taking charge, leading, and being who God has called them to be. I agree. I'm very, very excited about that. So, all right, 1 down, 2 to go.
I think it's going to sound like pretty generic, but I'm really excited to see just more freedom on our campuses. specifically like in our student leaders, like we've been having some of the girls over the past few weeks have just been like seeing freedom in a few things, and I'm really excited to see more of that personally in their lives, and also just in new student leaders and in new students that we meet on campus. I'm just really excited to see us starting to take back for Christ the things that the enemy took.
Come on.
We went down to the enemy's camp, and I took back what's
Took back what's
stole from me. That's old school. It's older than you, but that's okay. That's some of that old like Pentecostal.
Yeah.
Earl was feeling. He knew that song. Earl's drumming. He's under my feet. He's under my feet. Yeah.
Satan is under my feet.
Oh yeah. Okay, I told you I wasn't gonna sing on this episode, but I still did. There were so many times I was biting my tongue when Earl said something earlier. He was like, talking about being born this way. I was like, no, I was born. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Yes.
I'm practicing restraint and discipline and giving you the floor.
Oh
But yes, Cassie, yes. And I mean, shameless plug. We're gonna have a night of worship in October.
Yes.
And lo and behold, the theme for this night of worship is freedom.
That's what I was talking about.
Where's the spirit of? Oh, okay. Let's think. Let's list all the freedom songs, all of them. There's so many. There's so many great ones. There's so many good ones. Oh man, this train's about to pull out the station. We're gonna just take off because we're all getting like so excited. I love it. All right, Earl.
I think for me, it's gonna sound very generic too, but everything that they said, I mean, and I look at it and
that's
it was funny because that's what she said. But we were recently at our World Conference, and one of the things that was said, someone preached out of Ezekiel and talked about the dry bones and can these dry bones live? And I think having the men and all that stuff and co-laboring with women and freedom, that all that's happening. One of the things that one of the preacher that was preaching said that there is a structure, and it's like, man, I'm a person that loves structures and things like that, systems and stuff. Yeah. But one of the things that I'm really excited about was God breathing upon that structure. Yeah. So in any shape or form, God, we have this, and it's almost like an offering, because we've been working very hard for the past year and a half, especially this semester, where now we have something, and I'm just so excited that we can present something to God and say, Lord, please breathe on me. He's gonna come off the couch. He's gonna come off the couch. Oh, come on.
When you stand up and you feel like
yes. You're so tall, you just went right out of the frame. That's fine. We know what you're doing in the spirit.
That's it. Like, I'm just excited to see how that manifests, how his breathing life begins to manifest in men and freedom and love and joy. I mean, just breaking out of the spirit. Yeah. So I'm excited for it all. Jesus, excited.
That's not generic.
You all said that. You said it too.
That
like,
is not the
this
Kroger brand. That is not the Target brand. That is not the Walmart brand. That is official organic. Sir.
This ain't no Walmart up in here. All right, now listen.
Not great value.
I love it so much. You guys are amazing. Oh, we are passionate about the campus. My goodness. It's not just a slogan, right? We do believe that if you change the campus, you'll change the world. Yeah. And so, in closing, I always challenge everybody, because we're creating a culture of why not. So I say, why not engage somebody on the campus? Yeah. Like, even if you, if it's your neighbor or somebody you work with, maybe you have a job and you work with that age. Why not think outside the box and see how you can reach them with the gospel? Yes. Let's go to them. Yes. Let's not expect them to come in the doors. Yeah. Let's see what we can do. Let's bust down those barriers. Oh, when y'all are talking about those barriers, I just want to in the spirit. I have my little hammer in the spirit. I'm just busting them up in the spirit. Yes. So I just want to break down all those barriers. I'm just you got me fired up talking about that. But why not, right? Let's take a risk. Let's take risks this year. Let's do something big. Yeah. Let's if we look like a fool, why not? If it's for the gospel, if it's for Jesus, then I'm going to look like a fool. So I would say, why not do something that makes you look like a fool to help create some energy and help create some passion around what God is doing. We are so excited. This is going to be a great year. Look out, Houston, because ENC Houston is coming to a campus near you. It's going to be amazing. And I think that's officially all we have to say about that. So I'm going to go cut.